What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and this is the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And on this episode, we have Zach Henderson. He's the owner of the Rino and was the owner of the Colony, and he explains how in 2020 they pivoted their business and really fought to stay alive and created an umbrella business called Cultivar, where they brought in multiple people, multiple vendors to keep their business alive. It's a great story of community. He also talks about the lessons that he learned in the extra time that he found himself with, and how what building a real legacy looks like. So hope you guys enjoy.
The Live and Create podcast.
There's a few small audio issues during the making of this podcast. I'm working on making sure that doesn't happen in the future. Thank you for your patience. It was a hell of a 2020, really, for everyone. But I know some of the conversations we've had, you guys, as owner at the Colony, at the Rino, you've had to make some incredible changes just to keep working. And that was something that I was very curious about, wanting to dive in, well, I guess kind of just for the audience, break down what you were doing in the beginning of 2020 as far as Colony and the Rhino, and then I'd love to explore the story of the pivoting and shifting that you did over the year.
Yeah. So I mean, when we opened Colony, and then about 2 years after that, we had an opportunity to take over the space next door, and we love music and decided to turn that into a music venue. And even 4.5 years into it, it was literally at the point of 2020 was 100% going to be our best year. Come after the winter, after the bad winter months, January, February, is March forward. I mean, we had just the most incredible lineups we ever had booked. I mean, with bands that had no business continuing to book with us, everything from, Drug Church, Knuckle Puck. Knuckle Pucks used to play in Granada,
nice,
and just those amazing guys. Some of them that are in the band Home Safe have played with us, and just the greatest guys. And I mean, with that, from our booker in Springfield who books those stuff, it sold out within an hour. It just was on our way to be the best year. We were actually, we're actually gonna make some money, so it was one of those that it just come, beginning of March, it was all right, well, we're closing. You got to figure this out. And then it was just one of those none of us knew a timeline. And so it was just this awful, awful period of just waiting. And then once, I don't know, it was almost got to that point where everybody else was kind of okay, do we continue to just sit here and wait, or do we just, and what was that? Maybe July or August or something. It's okay, well, we either just close up, we don't do anything, or we just try,
Right.
And so it was
so a few months kind of went by where you're hoping, really all of us thought 2 weeks, maybe by May, maybe, and it just kept extending. But you finally came to a point, we got to do something. We need to make a move.
Yeah. And so it was just, it's well, if we try and it doesn't work, well, then at least we can say that we, tried. Because our biggest thing was we have so many underlining background things that are against us, still paying, on stuff from when we had our brewery. I mean, it just there's just a lot of stuff working for us that just we learned along the way that we're still figuring out. We don't know everything, but it was just we at least have to try and do something for the sake of I guess if it was one of those, if it was just a shop that people wouldn't miss, or that we didn't cultivate this just awesome community of people around, it would have been an easy answer just to be done. but it was incredibly difficult, like to think about not having that place in the future, just
Well,
for
and
like.
that's kind of stepping aside from your flow for a second.
Mhm.
You guys created such a unique space. The Rhino Colony, it was a community. It was like the North Kansas City Cheers in a way, where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even for myself, like I would find myself there officing during the
Mhm.
day,
Yeah.
and then going to shows and seeing people. Like every time you go, it's like I just feel like my friends are here, the people I care about are here. I knew
Mhm.
the baristas and the bartenders, and that was just my one experience where so many other people were even more heavily connected. It To me, it was such a powerful thing you guys had created. I say that, like, what drove that for you to create a community behind it, or did it just kind of happen by accident?
No, I mean the community aspect was always the first and foremost thing that whenever we created the space, and then we just kept pivoting on things that we kept changing our business because it was not so much of what like felt like we needed to have in the community, but it was like our passion was music, and
Mm-hmm.
because it was like, I mean, I spent since I was 12 or 13 years old every weekend going downtown to shows. I mean, it was like that was my life, and that was like being in like that was my safe space growing up. Like that was,
Mm-hmm.
I quit doing sports. I quit, like stopped caring about school. It was like I only cared about like music and cared about like not just like playing, but like being in like the community of like just people that like live music, because it was like those were my people. And
Right.
it was like that just made so much sense to then really start focusing on that. And so it was kind of one of those, like, I mean, I grew up going to El Torreon, to Beaumont, to all these places, and I loved all of it, but there was never like a big sense of like the community aspect of like that came out of each venue. It was just like we're just a shell for bands to come in and play. And so
They
but
brought
there
in
were.
iconic artists essentially, and that's why people were drawn to it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like nothing. I mean, I love the spaces. I miss them all so much, but it was just one of those, like, there was other venues that I grew up going to, like New Earth, Main Street Cafe, like all these places that organically had that community with it. It was like no matter what band was playing, I was going to see the same people all the time, because it was like they didn't care about I mean, they want to see the band, but it was like this is just where we all went every weekend and stuff. And so it was like trying to bring some of that back in it.
Right.
And so it was that, but it was also like I love any venue I go to, but there was also this like wanting to make sure that all of like our staff and bartenders and everything understood that, like, not just serving the customer, but it was like helping to create that community, that like cheers feeling of, like, not, you're not just like welcome here, but like we're excited to see you. And
Yeah.
it was like wanting to have like just the best staff possible of like making you feel that. And people like Ben Went, Ethan Bunce, like a lot of our new Andrew DeHav, Jessica Johnson, like all of like our staff, Kaylee Howe, like it was just like they understood that. And like
Mm-hmm.
that was like, it's like whenever companies hire, it's like if they're not hiring for culture first,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be, you can train people to do a lot of stuff, but if they don't understand your mission and like have a sense of pride in that too, it may not work out for that long. It's like you can't teach people how to, that is, so it's like that first and foremost, like I think that was kind of just like looking back, the bread and butter of everything, of just
Yeah.
like having those people that care about the people that
Well,
come
and
in.
I know both you and I, we've even worked in organizations together in the past, and we've seen where incredibly talented people who don't believe in the culture or the vision, they weed themselves out very quickly, even though they're so talented. And I've seen people
Yeah.
less talented but believed in the culture who are willing to learn and grow,
Oh yeah.
excel, and be such a benefit to organization. So,
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
you created this community. Um, you're fighting for it. There's people. I know there's people even brokenhearted that they can't go. I remember walking by one day when it was just all dark inside. In fact, one time I went to go get wings because you guys had started doing wings, and I realized you guys were starting to close like earlier and earlier, and I was like, oh man, what's going on? So you're realizing in June-ish, right, that you need to fight for this. You need to figure out what to do. So what were some of your next steps in changing your business model?
Yeah, so it was kind of, I mean, some of like the big underlining things were like, oh, we don't have like, I mean, like within a week of pandemic starting, our bank account was drained like immediately from like, because, you know, we run on super small margins, or, you know, we like, we either operate like flat or at a loss, and you know, it's just, you know, we didn't get into any of this to make money, you know, I mean, it's just like, but just keeping open. But then it's like, oh, we don't have any money to pay on our bank loan. We don't have any money to pay rent. We don't have, you know, and so it was just like some of those bigger things was going to our landlord, our banker, and they like have been amazing through this entire process. Like, you know, after they've been like completely like understanding, like forgave our rent. We haven't been having any like payments on our bank loan till we get up and running and stuff.
That's
and
amazing,
like, it's
man.
been, it's been awesome. Some of the, you know, other stuff like KC Power and Light or Evergy, and, you know, some of this other stuff, just having to like pay out of pocket just to like keep like some of those like contracts going and stuff. And so it was like figuring out that, you know, if honestly, if our bank and landlord, if they wouldn't have been so gracious with an understanding to everything that's been going on, like that would have just sealed the deal. That would have been done. And so those were the biggest things. And so once we kind of like had those conversations and stuff, we did our fundraiser and stuff, and was amazing. Like, you know, was able to, you know, continue to keep the lights on, and then be able to, for us to start thinking through, well, how do we keep doing the same thing we're doing? We have this huge space, and it, you know, monthly was costing us like a lot of money in rent. It was expensive. And so, you know, trying to figure out,
you got a great location as well. So that comes at a price as well, no doubt.
Yeah. And so we've had good partnerships with people, and have, you know, rough partnerships with people. We've learned a lot. And so it was just one of those things of just like thinking back, sitting down, and just, you know, what do we do? And so I love a lot of these places that are popping up that are just like shared spaces that, you know, have kind of, that are, you know, open all day, have, you know, we already had a coffee shop in there. So it was like, okay, well, let's find a coffee vendor. Let's find someone else to run the kitchen. Let's, like, how do I put all these people in this big space where we all can operate as we want to, and basically just like have a lot of our expenses be really just cut down a lot, so that one, we can operate during a pandemic and will make sense for us in the future. And so by the grace of God, it is just like everything kind of came together, and it is like found the most amazing partners. Post Coffee, Levi and Tanner, who run that, are just like the greatest guys in the world, and have just a lot of brand equity in this city. They, you know, just like follow a lot of the same vision that, you know, we've always had.
And they seem to hire some of the same baristas as well. When I went in,
which
I was
is
like,
just,
oh, hey, what's up?
Which is so awesome.
It's a new name,
like,
but the same feel, really.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just like, they were just able to like jump right in, and, you know, it was awesome. Like we already had all the coffee stuff still, like all of our stuff in the kitchen, bringing in Caitlin from Cheesy Street. And it is just like, just found these amazing people, bringing in Ben, who's opening up, or has like a photo studio in the Rhino during the day. It's a huge space for him, and it helps us. It's just empty space we're not using for the day. And then super excited that like Alex Garnett is moving his recording studio and taking over our old brew space. Just to have him in there is just going to be just amazing. And so it's just like, it's just awesome. Yeah.
I think that's what's unique about your vision and business model. A lot of people, they want to own the whole thing, but here you are divvying it out, and you guys have really operated that way before, where you had someone come in with a brewery, had someone come in with a restaurant, and I think it's a powerful show of community in business, and even hearing you talk about somehow your landlords get that idea about community in business as well. Like if we work together, we all can succeed together. That to me, that's a powerful thing that you've done, where you have so many things operating and working in the same place. And as far as the music venue itself, though, what are the next step visions for that? Because I know that's your heart, that's your passion, that's where it started for you. What's that look like in the future for the Rino?
Yeah, so we've had to really like navigate our way through, because we're like basically kind of like dissolving Colony, instead of trying to always like fight against each other, because it was people that always want to come in Colony for really good cocktails and food, and then it was like people who just want to come do shows. So we're like, okay, well, we can't keep fighting, this battle. And like, we just really want to, I mean, our main passion is like, music. And so we're kind of moving towards just like a full-fledged, like music venue. Like everything is going to be, more operated like that. There's going to be a lot easier ways for, people that just want food or to-go cocktails. We're going to be able to do, be able to like online order, do all this stuff. So we won't be having that, fighting balance of like, oh, I just want to come in for food or something. And so we're fixing a lot of the problems that we had before. And so we basically been working. So we've had to create a new business, which is Cultivar, which will be all of the name that all the brands will kind of sit under.
It's the umbrella of both spaces, essentially.
Yeah.
And for the audience, both spaces are still connected with a big door, essentially. So they're almost one and the same as far as space goes. But.
Yeah, so we spent the last 2 or 3 months getting everything together to get our new business license and then liquor license. And so we got everything turned in, and I am hoping by the end of the week that we have everything in that we will be able to actually open next week. So
that's awesome.
So Post is already in there doing coffee in the morning, and then been just working a lot of nights at the shop, just getting it ready and cleaned. And I was there last night helping with Ben, helping get the kitchen, like new signage hung, redoing some electrical, just getting everything ready. So hopefully, starting next week, we'll be able to start bringing in, probably just like local artists for now, just as we continue to navigate COVID. Everything like we'll either have like assigned seats, or like bringing in, or like pay ahead tickets where we know exactly the number that's going to be there. Doing everything very, very safely, kind of watching our friend Seth down in Springfield operate the Outland. Like it's been, he is a lot of positive, but, he got a lot of, flack too, of just like having, people, saying, oh, it's too early. And it's like, you know what, we have to do something, because we can't just keep, waiting and stuff. And so,
that's such a tough line to walk right now, where, like, I've been doing some shows outside, and I know there's some people who haven't almost left their house in the music community, and it's hurt them so much. And it's so tough, because no one's going to be happy at this point. But it sounds like to me you're doing. I think the part of it is just finding a way to do it as safe as possible, and to find a way to do it to actually give a shit about people, as opposed to just like, well, we'll just open up 100%, see what happens, But then on some level of just keeping it completely closed, it hurts so many people in other ways. So I commend you for walking that line, because it's a hard line, man. Hard line. Yeah,
and it's one of those, it's like, you know what? Even if I personally don't feel like going out and doing that, there are a lot of people that are, and we're going to make things as safe as possible. And that's the best we can do right now. And, it's, I don't want to say it's late or it's early or anything. It's like, my wife she gets her second round of vaccine next week. It's like, that's awesome. Slowly rolling this stuff out. It's, it feels like a good time to do things safely. And we're just monitoring it, every day and figuring out what that looks like and stuff. So yeah, we'll just, do the best we can and hopefully give a little bit of life back to people for right now. And then, once things are kind of getting better, we'll, hopefully get back to where kind of we were. 'Cause I just miss, people so much and miss, just bands coming through. And I just miss that vibe so much. And so it's going to be good to have some life back in, just getting to work on the, just on stuff that it's been good having this time of like doing things that we just put off, that we're like, oh man, okay, I have some time to like actually like make this better. That's just been sitting there forever. And so it's like we're doing that. Like we're going to redo the stage and make it a little taller and bigger and stuff.
Yeah.
So just doing that, and just it's, a lot of it has sucked, but it's been a great time of just reflection and just figuring out what makes us happy and what we want to do. So it's,
well, I'm impressed with how you and all the crew that surrounds Rhino and what was Quality have kept pushing through, trying to find a way to make things work continually. I know you guys have been fighting for a long time, even before COVID, figuring out the business models and how to make it work. And then I think in a way, maybe that was training ground for when the shit really hit the fan, March 2020, where you guys keep going, because a lot of people have not survived it from a business perspective. And I know you are a very science-based person, and for you to, again, I think you guys have done great at trying to walk that line of how can we keep moving forward? How can we keep business, which business here for you means the actual community of people that are there working there and that are the patrons, but at the same time be safe. And I think that's cool, man. Now, the time that you had, right? I know for me, it's been a crazy year in 2020, like March. I basically smoked way too many clove cigarettes and drank too much wine, and then started coming out of the haze of what the hell is happening. But it's given me a lot of time to figure out really what, like internally, what's been going on and how I want to move forward. What, with this extra time, is there something internally that you've been processing that you would want to share, like that you would feel maybe helpful even to other people?
Yeah. I never thought I would be like more like a working, like stay-at-home dad, or it's one of those, like I am such like an extrovert where I feel like every day I need to get out of my house like at least once, like even if it's to go to Quick Trip, like it's like even if it's for 5 minutes. And there are like days where it's like it kind of got to the point where my wife is like, oh, do you need to get out for a few minutes? So I'm like, nah. It's like, it is definitely a challenge, and, it's a challenge for everybody. We, decided to, homeschool our kids. And so trying to work where I feel this need to like work a lot and can always do like 110% at my job and continuing to do that. And so trying to navigate that with kids and my amazing wife, who's, being full-time teacher, full-time mom, working like 30 plus hours at the hospital at nights. It's crazy, but it's like, but now I'm like, I love being, it is over the last year. It is just like really trained my focus and where my like time is best spent. And it's like, it's a lot of late nights making up for the work, that I might've missed during the day, but like being able to like intentionally like be home with my kids and my wife is just like, it's been awesome. I'm like incredibly thankful for like this time that, we've had where, it's crazy, but like I honestly don't want to go back, to like an office.
So the normal life, it's like,
like
go there?
It's it's one of those things like, oh, I want normal life, but I want to stay at home because it's working really good and I love it. But I also like want to go to shows at night, or I want to be able to go to a restaurant. So we'll
the
see.
good
But
parts of normal life as
yeah,
opposed to like the cubicle or office world.
yeah. And it's like we were kind of going back one day a week, and maybe it was just because we weren't there all the time in the office. But I'm like, I can't get anything done. I can get so much more done if I'm just left alone to do that. And it's just like I like love doing Zoom stuff now. It's like it's awesome. Everyone gets to be in their own space that makes them comfortable, and it's
Yeah.
great. But yeah, it's just been just figuring out what is what's most important. I mean, and it's been just for me, just like being way more intentional about like being a dad and like husband. And I've definitely like just had like really just bad days, been a terrible husband, just like not cared about anything but my own stuff. And like it's really just having more time to really like think about that and focus on it. And I picked up like I started like being a wine consultant for Scout and Cellar, and been
Nice.
like got really not as involved as I want because I've been dealing with the shop stuff. So once a lot of this stuff gets figured out, like getting to do more of that, just found this amazing company that does like all organic, like non like sugar wine that is just like,
Really?
oh my God, it's like phenomenal. I can't go back to like normal wine anymore. It's
I'll have
like
to check that out after that. Maybe I'll have to have you text me that info because I'm a big wine and whiskey guy, man. I love both.
Oh yeah, me
so.
too. It's like I think I got so burned out on craft beer from just everything about that, and just like the beer community is just interesting. It's I kind of just got really burned out on it, and just like found this like love of wine. Like with their stuff, you could literally drink a whole bottle in one sitting a night, wake up, feel great. Never had
That's awesome.
Nothing. I mean, it's like there's no added sulfates, there's no added like sugars and stuff. It is just it's awesome, and it's just been really fun to kind of like find that community too. And so we'll get to dig into that more, which will be fun.
That's cool that you're connecting in that way. The home thing I relate to. I was actually just sharing with my wife, I think last week, where I've always been very much like go as well. Where like literally when our band was touring, we would be gone for 2 weeks. I would come home. Sometimes we'd clean out the van, and then the family would get in, and we'd go somewhere together. Like I just always wanted to go places. But I told her I find myself now whenever we leave, I just want to get back home. And it's a weird feeling. I never experienced that in my entire life. And it's been interesting. That's when we're homeschooling as well. I should say my wife is homeschooling every once in a while. I jump in and I feel really confused most of the time.
Dude, so much.
But I think the other realization, like you said, these moments that we get together, like our oldest boy is 16, he's going to be 17, and he's going to be going to college soon. And I'm looking at our youngest is 7, and I'm like, damn, that went really fast. Really fast.
Yeah.
And in a way, I've started looking at this year, and I feel like I understand it's more privileged to say it because I know this year some people, even friends of mine, have lost family members, people who are like losing their businesses. So I feel very lucky in the fact that hasn't happened for us. So I can look at it with more of the silver lining. So anyone who's listening, I totally understand that part. But for me personally, this year, the extra time has really been amazing. Now, and again, I feel you too, where there's times where it's like, I'm not doing this so damn so well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been, in a way, I hope for myself personally, there's lessons that I'm learning this year that I carry on when the world starts. I almost feel like I hear the world's gears starting to slowly turn and come back, and I don't. It's like I want to be able to execute there, but I don't want to lose these lessons.
So much. It's like that. No, that's a great takeaway. It's like, what can I bring out of this that will help for the future? That is like, because it's like, we've gone through it all. It's like, I can't believe, just like, when you're with your kids every day, you don't see them growing, but then you look back and it's like, how the hell do I have, how are my kids this old? All of a sudden you don't look like a baby anymore and you look like a kid, and it's just, and you don't notice it. It's like, okay, time is going by really fast and I'm only going to have this amount of time with them. and what kind of impact am I making in them now? What kind of like dad, what kind of working dad, what kind of husband do I want them to see? I screw up every day. I'm thankful for their grace, and it's for anybody watching this, fun little fact, my oldest son and Miguel's youngest son was born.
That's right. I forgot
right,
about that.
Yeah,
same floor.
Same floor, right down the hall from each other on the same day. It's funny thinking about that every time their birthday comes. It cracks me up every time I think about that. But it's just, yeah, it's like, yep. What kind of impact are we making on them? And I can't imagine being where you guys are. It's like thinking about sending your oldest out. It's but I still have some time.
Well, what's crazy is I've always thought it'll go fast. I remember having an argument with a friend who just had kids where he's like, I'm so excited for them to get older and leave the house. I was like, I'm not. Like, because we were, like, Trey was about, I think, 6 at the time. And I was like, bro, it's already going fast. Like, I want them to be independent. I want them to be successful. But it's like, I want to soak up these moments because, shit, this is going fast. It even went faster than I imagined. And the only reason I think I had that insight is I had a lot of great mentors who kind of tried to bring that perspective. But then in reality, Trey's probably going to be annoyed. I think he's in the next room, probably can hear me. but it's like, in reality, your time goes even faster because, at 16, he gets a car and he's got a girlfriend and he's got his own life. Like, he's already establishing himself, where I'm like, I thought we had till 18, but it's like, he's gone less and less, which he should be, because he's grown into a young man developing his own life. But I'm like, oh man, it goes even faster than I thought. So how, that's cool that you're feeling that. I think, in conversation I had with a lot of people, seeing those things, learning those things, and the reality, it's like, as we saw this year, the things we were building, the things we believe in that make a difference in people's lives, even those things can end overnight. Even these shows that I'm working on, or even the music I put on Spotify, or the videos we make, or, like, these things, though they may last a long time digitally, still they're going to fade away. It's like, it's these relationships that are the real legacy in a way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what I've been like. That's always what I've like. I think before a lot of this, it was like always focusing on like that legacy factor. And like, I always, looking back, I think it was like very, like, came from a very selfish place of like, I want people to think of me when they think about like this and that. And then just realize, like, just, kind of coming to terms. I'm like, that's such like bullshit thinking that I can't just like that. It's not about like just having to come back. It's like, it's not about me. It's like, I want to, think about, like, I don't want to be thought about, oh, we built this and it was cool. Like, it's like, I really like being more like intentional with like the relationships I'm building with people, and like wanting to like, I hope to like, walk in a door and people be excited that you're there. Like, not like, just like, because like you make them feel like loved and just like heard. And like, that is like what I really like keep going back and having to like really be intentional with. Like, that's how I want like people to feel like, when like, when you're around them and stuff, it's like, I can't, think of a better like way to, just live, like, continue living life each day. So, yeah.
And it's funny. It's an older movie, but Elizabethtown. Do you ever watch that?
No, I got really into like hating any independent film that came out around that time, because I thought I was too cool for it, and I've never gone back to.
You were like, so indie that indie was not good enough for you. Is that what it was?
That like Garden State, any Wes Anderson. I'm like, I'm not. No. I'm not. No, I'm way too cool.
It was a great movie. I had never really watched it. My wife loves it, so we finally watched it about 2 years ago. And for some reason, like, she fell asleep, and I finished it as like 2 a.m. And it messed me up. There's these closing scenes of his wife and his son the man passes away, and I don't think this really ruins anything for anyone who hasn't watched it, like you, who was too
Yeah.
cool at the time.
Yeah.
But they're giving eulogies of their
Mm-hmm.
father, and it just messed me up, man. I went down to my studio and wrote songs till like 4 and 5 in the morning, finally realizing like what's the impression that I'm leaving behind? Did I inspire them? Did I, is it something that they're looking back on? Like, man, are they saying I'm glad he's gone? Are they, is it just these few little lessons, or did they really feel loved? Did they really feel supported and built up? And something about that messed me up, and it's got me thinking about what is legacy a lot. But I think you're right. There's a legacy idea of just slapping your name on hotels and shitting on everything else, But then but there's also a legacy of relationships, and it sounds like to me that's what you're really connecting with there.
Yeah, and it's just like if I were like gone tomorrow, I would just like the only thing I think about is like I would just want people to just like like miss my presence, like around or just like is that was he just like negative Nancy all the time? Was he it's like I can definitely be negative a lot. I can be pessimistic a lot, and my amazing wife is. Every time I'm like that, it's just like, nope, like glass half full. Like, it's like Bill Burr is one of like my favorite comedian actor guy. Like, I think he's one of the most amazing comics. And he has this old bit, it's hilarious. He was like, do you just want to be this like angry guy, that like nobody like can say anything nice at your funeral? It's like, well, he paid his bills on time. He was a bill paying son of a bitch. It's like, it's like what like do you want people to like do you want people to be able to have like great things to say when you're gone? It's like like
bill like a son of a bitch. I love that.
Yeah. It's like so.
Well, that's I feel you though. I've had a great deal of cynicism become part of my life over the last few years. And those are long stories to unpack. Some of it. But I keep finding them. I even it's interesting. I even had some fans call me out on it, on some posts I was putting out where they were like, "Whoa, man, what's going on?"
Yeah,
like,
sure,
You used to be so positive, and I was like, I didn't think it was that bad. And they're just like, calm down. And I asked Jenny, and she's like, yeah, like it's a little over the top, and I didn't even see where that was coming from. And I'm like, it's so hard for me to be optimistic in some regards, and sometimes I just don't want to be pessimistic. But Stacey Abrams, who's kind of like a new hero of mine, in this last week, she said something that I've just been chewing on, man. Where she said, "I'm not optimistic, I'm not pessimistic, I'm determined," and that just for some reason that resonated with me. Where it's like. If I'm determined to see a better world, if I'm determined to see the people I love flourish, and that's what I can focus on, at least right now, which is helping with my cynicism and moving forward.
No, and this has like been the, this is like a turning point year for everybody's attitude. It's like, are we going to continue just to like breed hate and continue just to be upset about everything? It's like, are you upset about like? I mean, if there's a time for all of us to be cynical and be like just pissed off about everything, it's like this is the year by far to do it. And it's like, okay, do I keep just sitting in this and just or do or do we just keep spreading love? And it's just like it has been a very difficult year to navigate. Just God, even yesterday, seeing what was happening, and it's been like
for the audience, we're filming this this is coming out I think middle of February, but we're literally filming this the day after the basically coup attempt at the Capitol, and even watching that, like how, and
it's been like, and I just sit there and stew in it, and I'm upset, and I'm like, I just everything that happened over the summer. It's like, wow, these protests were handled very, very differently by police, by everything, and it has been very hard to continue to stay, positive, and it's it's like we can be excited if they decide to impeach Trump, and it's like it's just one of those. It's like, you know what, I'm just gonna continue to just really just be positive. I will I have my wife to vent to, but it's like it's like we can continue just to be upset, or we can continue to go out and like be a positive person in our
Right.
community. It's like even just like going to Costco or anything, it's like just it's just amazing what your body language can do. And then it's been a hard year, and I feel like it's been very like people have been very separate either way, left or right. And it's what, if we can just continue to just be that like positive like force and be kind. Like it's been awesome to be able to like teach our kids. It's like that, like you see those people out there picking up our garbage each week. Those people are the like hardest working, and we are more thankful for them than a lot of people. It's like they are like the backbone of our community, and we are incredibly thankful for them. And like we like all of like our delivery drivers, like we set out like food and water in them. Like it's like this is probably the worst holiday season ever to be a delivery driver. Like it's like they are working harder than anybody. It's like we are gonna like just
the person who delivered to our house. I mean, they had to be here like 15 times every single day. Like that's it's pretty intense. And then on top of it, risking being house to house with people. So I know you have you have to get out of here real quick. That made me want to go. Maybe we'll just have to do another one down the road, because maybe you want to dive into other topics with you. But the last two questions, and we'll start with the first one. If maybe even boiling it down, if you had to create a meme to push out there that hopefully everyone would share and connect with, like to you, what does living a great life mean?
Yeah, I mean, really just whether I have all the money in the world or I'm homeless on the street is just like being like not just being like positive, but like honestly like just like I don't know, like being helpful, like being like helping like it, anybody with whatever it is. I tend to overextend myself with just saying yes to everything, because I want to be that like that person, that like people know that they can like call and like no matter what it is, just like, oh, they'll be here and they'll come help me with it, and navigating that and like overextending myself, where it's like my wife and kids might take the brunt of that if I'm not around, and like that's hard, but it's like always wanting to be like that kind of like servant to your neighbor. It's just like I love my neighborhood. I love my neighbors, and like I like continually strive to be like that, like helpful person for them. And they know they can like call me and help me. And I think just like, like having that is like your brand is, I think, I don't know, like to me, that would be living a great life. I want to have those neighbors that are like that too. Right. And that's, and I mean, honestly, like I've learned a lot of that, by watching you and the way that you navigate that with people. It's been like, awesome just over the, I don't know, 6 or 7 years that we've known each other, just to be able to like look up to you and see the way, you do that with people. And it's just awesome to, have people in your life like that.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think of Jim Collins, where there's this speech that he has. It's about a 40-minute speech, and he ends it with, if you want to be successful, simply make yourself useful. And it's a talk that I go back to over and over again. And it sounds like for you, that's what living that great life is, man. And that's huge. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's like every night I just want to sit and play video games. And then I think like, what else could I be doing? And I'm constantly struggling with that. And so I don't tend to relax that much. And I'm like, oh no, I can make this better. I can make this better. You're totally the same way. It's like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta continue to like make things better. I gotta, do this and that. And like, I do need to take more time to enjoy, things. And so but it's, it's good. And it's hard sometimes too. So.
No, I feel you, man. All right. And the last one, for you, what does it mean to create great things?
Honestly, like, I don't even care what I would be doing, but like the number one is just like putting people around me that are like better than me, like continuing to always put smarter people around myself. That like, that is the true key of like to me making great things. Like when I was like looking back and thinking about our like business, it was like, Ben Went and Ethan Bunce, they make our business better, and so we're bringing them on as like owners into this like new thing. Cause it's like,
awesome.
It wouldn't be nothing without them. It would be absolute, like, they are like the real key to like our success because of like their attitude. They're just like, I mean, both of them, they get smarter every day because they're always trying to make, and it's like, I learn from them every day. And so like putting yourself around people that are smarter than you will always help you be successful and like make great things of whatever you're doing. So
that's awesome, man. That's a good reminder as we continue to move forward. It's 2021. Got a lot of shit in front of us and some good things ahead, man. Well, dude, thank you for making the time. I know you got, dad duties and business duties and work duties and you're hustling, but thank you again for making
the time. Yep. Gonna go put my kids to nap time now. Be good.
Boom. Enjoy it, man. Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.